How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Gangi, host of Tier Talk. Welcome to another episode of Tier Talk. Understaffed facilities. Covered this before. Talked about the dangers of an understaffed facility. But I read two articles, one out of Michigan, one out of Nevada, and they're talking about understaffed facilities, but from a different perspective. How much it's costing in overtime. And now everybody listens. So here we are. We can express our concerns about the dangers and how our lives are at risk. Nobody cares. What they do care about is the overtime. So now people start to listen. You know, guys, if we're going to go for change in corrections, we have to start showing the public how the needed changes that we must have, how it's going to affect them. I've been thinking about that. Nobody cares about the changes that we need. They don't. We're in the shadows. We're forgotten. But if we could talk about how those changes are needed, and by implementing those changes, this is what it will do to the public, it gets them directly involved. We need more staffing. If not, we won't be able to prevent escapes. Oh, public's going to listen to that. We need better staffing, or else we won't be able to protect your loved ones in the prison. Public's going to listen to that. We need better staffing so we can protect the staff that works inside the correctional facility. And there's the crickets. So for the changes that we need to involve that public perspective. But in this case here, however that change is justified, we're going to get the change. Now, unfortunately, these last articles I read, too, they're talking about the overtime, the cost, and of course now it's got people's ears. I do like the article from Nevada, because you have two officers coming out of Nevada that are speaking their concerns about the dangers of working in an understaffed facility, talking about unmanned towers, talking about posts that policy procedures say there should be two, but there's only one. And unfortunately, if there's only one, where's the policy to reflect that? Of course, there's not going to be any. No one's going to put their name on that. But having said that, these officers are highlighting the dangers of working in an understaffed facility. When we got to give kudos to that. We have to give kudos to that, because right now that takes a lot of courage, especially when your management above you is telling you, shh, don't say anything. But they do. So we have to support that, because they may need our support when people play games. They may need our support. Now, what's good about having officers like that speak those concerns is because when you're looking to fix an understaffed facility, it's about getting the right incentives to keep the people we need, the experienced people, the people that know the way. We need them. So we need incentives to keep them. But we also need incentives to keep qualified personnel. We want to get the right people for this job. So not only is it about keeping, it's about inviting. And having the right incentives, well, that's going to help us in the long run. That's going to help us in the long run. But in the meantime, you're going to have people that are going to look to save money, because that's what the public is interested in. And they'll probably do another audit, and they'll probably look at posts that they believe they can cut from a surface level, because they have no experience, so they're not going to see the domino effect. They're not going to see every domino fall. They're just going to think that this was an okay choice. Now, us on the front line, we have experience, we know, and when you make that initial cut, we're going to see it all the way through to that last domino, boom. And we're going to be able to say, hey, that's a problem. If you do that, that's going to lead to this, but no one listens to us. So they're going to do an audit, and they'll probably look to save money, and they'll probably cut some more posts, thinking that's going to save money. Well, let me just get this out there to the public. The overtime that's given because those posts have to be covered. We've been through this before. We filtered and filtered and filtered. So now we're running on bare minimum, skeleton shift. You can't cut any further than where we were at right now. So it's not about cutting to save money. It's about the incentive to keep the people that we have, the incentive to invite qualified people for the job. That's what's going to help us in the long run. But you see, the problem is when you have people here that are just for the quick 4, 8 years, whatever it is, they're not in for the long picture. They want an immediate solution. And it has to be reflected immediately. Well, sometimes plans take time. And if you talk to frontline staff, remember, frontline staff's there at the beginning, they're there during it, and they're there at the end. So they know what's needed because they take the journey. But these people that are there just briefly, these immediate solutions work for them because they're not going to be there to see that last domino fall. We will be there. They won't be. And then when they're talking about prison sentences and low-level offenders, is it really being done for the right reason? Seriously, or are we just looking to save money? I mean, that's the problem. We've gotten to a point where our actions have become desperate, but we're hiding that desperation under some facade that what we're doing is good for the public, and it's not. The choices that we're making based on money is putting the public at risk. It's putting the staff and the inmates at risk that reside behind that wall. The choices that we make every day cannot be defined by money. We're going to have to spend money to save money. So now when it gets to that point when you have that audit come through and they're looking at cut and post, go to the front line and say, hey, let's talk about that post a little bit. What's that post about? I know on the surface they're saying it does this, but what does it really do? Tell me from your experience, because they don't have the experience, therefore they can't tell me. And I was listening to some of the changes that they're making in Nevada. I'm kind of upset because I sat at a table with Gary York. And I spoke to the warden from one of the facilities out in Nevada. You could check out the show. And I spoke to Zarenda, who's the acting director. And in my opinion, he sounded like he was pro-us. Had his roots in custody and was looking for nothing but the best. But as I'm reading the recent articles, especially the one that just came out of Nevada, I'm seeing something a little different. And that gets me upset. That gets me very upset. So today, I want to give kudos to those 2 officers in Nevada that stepped out, spoke their mind for the safety of staff regardless of the risk. And those are the people that we have to start showing support to. If we can show support to them, more people will step up. And then our voices will get heard. As always, guys, love you guys. Stay safe. The show's Tear Talk. Please subscribe, interact, engage, and hit that bell. That bell's going to notify you every time I post up a video. Take care and be safe.